to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to The Changing Stage, music gear talk from the manufacturers and musicians who define the biz. Here's your host, Florentino Buenaventura.
It's another beautiful Saturday in San Diego, and this is the Changing Stage radio show, powered by the mighty WS Radio Networks, the worldwide leader in internet talk radio. My name's Florentino Buenaventura, and today's show is an awesome one, and we have to give thanks to the folks that are making this possible. So we've got our folks down at National City, Pitbull Audio, where you get all the gear at the best prices with the best help. These guys know what they're doing down there. You can either go down to National City or you go online to pitbullaudio.com, Pitbull audio.com, and get your gear. Or you can go to SIR Music Equipment Rental if you just need to rent it for a day and get that gear. Today, like I said, is a special day because we have a living legend that's going to be speaking with us. He's called in from Los Angeles, where he does amazing work in the music business. Mr. Brian Auger, you there, Brian?
Hi, how are you doing there, Florentino?
I'm awesome, sir. Thank you very much for accepting to come on board with us today. And you have been just just a huge influence in this business and what you've done. Some people may or may not know the name, but they know the work. That's really where it's been a big influence. I'm going to give a little bit of your credits because people may or may not realize that you gave pretty much Jimmy his start in the UK on stage. You have helped Rod Stewart get to where he's going. You've made incredible songs. Like one of my favorites is Black Cat when you did with your group Trinity. And the list goes on. Zeppelin, you were there in the heart of the British invasion. You were the keyboardist that kind of powered that. So with that said, sir, tell us, how did you get into this crazy world of music and what led you into all that fun stuff?
Well, basically, I have been playing since I was about 3 years old. We used to play a piano at home. My dad had this cupboard full of piano rolls, everything that ranged from all the operas in piano form through to ragtime and stuff like that.
Wow.
So I used to be able to hang on to the bottom of the keyboard and stand on the pedals and pedal away like some demented cyclist. And I had this whole repertoire of stuff that I was listening to. Then my eldest brother, my family came in two batches of threes. My eldest brother was about 14 years older than me. And he had a collection of American jazz records. So I was constantly listening to his stuff, which was Duke Ellington, Count Basie, Lionel Hampton, just on and on, and Louis Armstrong, some of the Dixieland guys, just a great repertoire of different jazz artists, and that was my thing. I just loved listening to that stuff. My elder sisters were all into Nat King Cole and,
stuff,
of course, Frank Sinatra and Bing Crosby. So there were those things going on as well. So, I mean, it was just like a whole number that was going on. I was never supposed to be a professional musician because when I was in my, 8, 9, 10 years old, before I went to grammar school, musician was something that nobody mentioned,
Yeah.
What are you talking? You can't do that. That's not a,
That's not a real career. Yeah.
And so, I would tell my my aunties and uncles, what do you want to do? Well, I might be a musician. What? No, but what are you going to do for your real job? And so,
little did they know, right?
Yeah. So basically, in my teenage years, I found the Blue Note catalog and Art Blakey's Jazz Messengers. Also, Miles Davis, John Coltrane, Cannonball Adderley, a whole run of piano players. Oscar Peterson was a great influence, and guys like Victor Feldman. Just all the guys that played with Miles, all the guys that played with Coltrane. So that was it. Again, I think a watershed situation for me was I had to take a job when I was about 18, and I worked in the city of London with a three-piece suit and short haircut. And I was only there for about 2 weeks in this firm that had been established, very Dickensian firm, had been established in 1725, believe it or not. Yeah. And they would print for everybody right across the spectrum. And a guy came up. He came from upstairs, and there were a certain amount of young guys in the offices. And he hissed at me one day, "Psst, Brian, come outside. I want to speak to you, you know." And he told me, I've got this gig in a club, a nightclub in the West End. The West End of London was right in the centre of it all, Piccadilly. Yeah. And this place was just off Cambridge Circus. And the thing about it was they must have bribed the local council, which I think was the Westminster City Council, because it was the only place that you could go and get a drink until 1 o'clock in the morning, when all the pubs all closed at 10:30. So all the musicians in town, all the jazz guys, and all the Americans that came to town would make a beeline for this place after they finished their concerts. And I was persuaded by this guy. He said, it's only piano and drums because they can't afford a bass player. So I said, I don't care. I mean, it's just amazing, kind of, to have a gig in central London like that. But anyway, these guys came by and they eventually sat in and would because I'd learned by ear. I could play most of the standards, and so this was one of those things. They would correct me and say, "Hey, Brian, that see the middle eight of that tune. It goes. It starts with an A flat minor seventh," and I would say, "What the hell is that?" And they would say, "How can you? Well, if you don't know what you're doing, how can you play all these tunes?" I said, "I don't know. I hear them and I play them." They said, and there was a trombone player that said, "Hey, go and get this book, man. From the library. It shows you what the makeup of chords is and how they work. Yeah,
no YouTube back then, right?
Yeah, I was there for 2 years, man. It was absolutely incredible. And they kind of took me under their wing, a lot of the musicians, because I was about 17, 18 years old, something like that at the time.
Wow.
And it was the most amazing.
Can I find out what year? I'm sorry, what year was this? I just wanted to kind of establish that. So
that would have been about around about 1960.
Okay, good. Sorry, sir.
Something
I just wanted to establish when all that fun stuff was going on.
Right. So this was it, and I was playing 4 or 5 hours a night, and then running for the train, the last train home, getting up again at 7 o'clock in the morning, and going up to my gig, in the city of London. Lasted about 2 years before I really almost collapsed from fatigue. But I'd learned so much. That club was incredible because, we just saw people from the Duke Ellington Orchestra come in, and Cat Anderson, and people like that who would sit in. And guys from Basie's band, Henry Coker, and the trombone player.
What about the blues players back then that were on the verge of kind of coming out? Would they be coming in at that time, or was it mostly the jazz players?
No, that was a little bit later, man, because there was a big Dixieland thing that was going on from the middle of the 50s until the beginning of the 60s, and then we would play, what was termed modern jazz, the stuff that I was playing.
Yeah.
And then the real kind of blues guys, all the kind of blues guitar players, really, I started to hear them around about 64, 65. And there was a movement by the Marquee Club to bring a lot of these people over. I played with Sonny Boy Williamson, but also with Freddie King. I did an album with him, Burglar, with Freddie King.
Amazing.
And all the English guys were listening to, B.B. King and Albert King and Albert Collins and all those guys, and people that I'd never heard of. And they had their sources. The way the American music came to us, in its straight form, was we had guys who worked the liners that went across to New York and back, and the musicians who played on the liners would get off and run to the nearest record store and buy up whatever they could, and then bring it back and call their buddies, and they would all get around. I met up with Long John Baldry, who was actually a blues singer, but was really a household name around about 65. He had played on two of the Beatles shows at Christmas. They had an hour show at Christmas.
Awesome.
So
Hey, Brian, I hate to interrupt you, sir. This is great stuff. We're going to take a quick break. We've got these commercial pauses that are already programmed.
Right.
This is the Changing Stage radio show powered by WS Radio Networks with Brian Auger. You got to stay tuned. These stories are amazing. We'll be right back. Thanks, Pitbull Audio and SIR.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Thank you for listening to WS Radio. Improve your business and your life with useful information from experts and thought leaders. WS Radio is radio with ROI.
You may have heard me brag about Progressive Medical Center and just how much they've helped me with my health. And Dr. Goli, one thing that you've helped so many people with is migraines.
Unfortunately, there are millions and millions of Americans who are suffering with migraines and headaches, and they're debilitating because it affects the quality of their life, and they cannot function properly. At Progressive, we get the root cause because we understand that migraines could be caused by nutritional deficiencies, hormonal imbalances, believe it or not, delayed food sensitivities. And once we determine what the real reason is, we put a plan of action together with medication that we get them off slowly, and we put them on an all-natural approach, and the results are amazing.
Incredible. I mean, there's so many people that can say they don't live their lives with migraines anymore thanks to Progressive Medical Center.
And that's what's exciting and rewarding to us as physicians, because we help our patients take control of their health, and that's why they're living well.
Why don't you get a hold of Progressive Medical Center today? Don't live in pain. Don't have migraines anymore. Just go to their website, progressivemedicalcenter.com.
This is your life. Live it well.
In the military, things can change in an instant. The Navy Mutual Aid Association, we understand because it's our life too. That's why our dedication to serving the life insurance needs of our military veterans and their families is unrivaled. Navy Mutual offers superior life insurance protection without military service restrictions and limitations. A single focus on providing the peace of mind military families are looking for. That's what we do. Navy Mutual, insuring those who serve. Call 800-628-6011 or go to NavyMutual.org.
Hi, this is Rob Barnett, CEO and founder of VinVillage.com and the Wine and Dine Show on Vin Village Radio. Do you have a wine, event, product, or service to promote? Then contact VinVillage.com to reach thousands of wine lovers across the country. Vin Village connects like-minded wine enthusiasts with unique and exclusive wines, events, products, and services. To learn more, contact us on VinVillage.com. Vin Village is where wine lovers connect. Hi, this is Rob Barnett, VinVillage.com, where wine lovers connect. Be sure to tune in weekly to Vin Village Radio for exclusive, in-depth interviews with the who's who in wine and food.
Talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to The Changing Stage, music gear talk from the manufacturers and musicians who define the biz. Here's your host, Florentino Buenaventura.
Yeah, we are back. This is the Changing Stage radio show powered by the mighty WS Radio Networks, brought to you by Pitbull Audio at pitbullaudio.com and SIR Music Equipment Rental. Hey, we were just on with Brian Auger. Brian, you're back with us, sir.
I am here, yes.
Oh, well, sir, that the start is amazing. You've had such an influence by everything from ragtime to Dixieland jazz. So you kind of jumped, you were in the 60s now, early part, and now we're kind of talking about UK and kind of the influx of the British invasion with the blues influences that they had. How did you get started into this, and how did you get connected in this community? And tell us about the community that was going on at that time.
Well, the community was like I connected with. I was playing in Manchester in a club, and John Baldry, Long John Baldry, who was a huge name in England at the time, came in, and I just had my trio, and I just bought the first Hammond, actually, having heard Jimmy Smith play and being captivated by the Hammond. And so he said, look, I want to talk to you about, putting a band together, and I'd love you to, see if you could put a band together for me, and so that we could go out and work. And so I had a meeting with his manager, and we had a look around the scene, and John said, have you met this guy, Rod Stewart? And I said, yeah, Rod's actually sat in with my band. And he said, well, I think I'd like him in the band. And I said, well, what kind of band is this going to be? Is it going to be a blues band or a Sam and Dave review or what exactly? And he really didn't have an answer for that. So I suggested, why don't we bring this lady called Julie Driscoll in as well? And the reason for that is there's nothing like this on the scene. And what we could do is I could go on, I could play a couple of kind of R&B jazzy things, organ stuff from Jimmy Smith. Julie could come on, and she sings like a lot of Tamala Motown stuff, and she's crazy about Nina Simone. Yeah. And then Rod could come on, and Rod was doing kind of versions of Sam Cooke stuff, and
that's wild.
That's right, at the time, and also singing some Chicago blues and a lot of like Marvin Gaye and stuff from the Tamla repertoire. And then I said John could come on, and John does his straight Chicago blues, and also then we could go into some gospel stuff. Me being a big fan of the Staple Singers, and so everyone thought that was a great idea, and so we decided we would launch this thing. We did, and it was absolutely like a huge hit. The only thing that really kind of slowed it down was the fact that Rod had a manager, I had a manager, John had a manager, and they managed to argue over whose label any recording should come out with, for about 2 years. In the meantime, because I'm playing organ, I'm getting sessions, running into acts like The Who, and all the kind of blues guys, Eric Clapton and Jeff Beck and Alvin Lee, and all of a sudden this whole thing seemed to circle around 3 particular clubs. One was the Ronnie Scott's Club, where I was probably one of the only people that had one foot in there and had won a reader's poll for piano in 1964. And then I had one foot in this other world of the organ playing, Tamala Motown, James Brown stuff. I mean, when you went into, went out for a dance and you went out for, our disco at the time was some Ray Charles things, but basically it was James Brown and all the Tamala stuff, which was groove, oriented, and the club that I played in, where Jimi Hendrix came down and sat in and said, Connie, do you mind if I sit in with you, bro? I said, sure. And his management wanted, I'd already started the Trinity, which was with Vic Briggs on guitar, Julie Driscoll singing, Mickey Waller on drums, who went to the Faces and different people. What happened at that point was we were going to a disco, and there was this incredible music everywhere. I played at the Cromwellian, and Jimmy came in. He was introduced to me, and he wanted to sit in, and so I said, fine, okay.
Yeah,
I said, what do you want to play? Yeah. And he said, well, can you play this, this sequence of chords? So he showed me this sequence of chords. So I said, yeah, that sounds great. Turned out to be the chords to Hey Joe. Oh. I don't think any of us have played that before, but I said, yeah cool. Let's go then. Now, there were Eric Clapton, Beck, Alvin Lee, I think, Spencer Davis, and, this club, after hours, was all the people on the scene would come in, Zoot Money's Big Roll Band, and Lulu, and Dusty Springfield, and everybody. Anyway, I said, okay, Jim, give us a tempo. So he did, and we counted it in, and we started to play, and it was like a shock.
Wow.
Because I knew Clapton's playing and Jeff Beck's, and they still, you could still trace the roots from the American blues players that they had come from. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Although they were pretty good players, man, really, But Jimmy was something else, and I think Clapton went home almost in tears and kind of said, well, that's it then. That's really it. Back to the drawing board then.
That's crazy. Now, see, I want to kind of, you don't mind, I'm going to interrupt you because this is an important thing. Yeah. Me and my producer went and seen that movie with Andre 3000 portraying Jimmy, and they always showed it. They showed your story, but as being Clapton. And I wanted to clear that up for the folks. It was your band that the manager that came in and said, hey, can Jimmy sit in with you? It was your band. It was the first time he ever played in the UK, right?
That's right. And I mean, what they did was Chaz Chandler, who was the bass player from the Animals, called me up. And it was all those guys. Everybody knew everybody, So and Chaz said, "Brian, could you come up to my office and have a talk with me?" And so I said, "Well, yeah, sure." So I did. His manager, Mike Jeffrey, I considered to be the biggest crook in the music business.
It happens, right?
So,
in business,
I went up just to see what, for curiosity's sake, what the hell they're going to talk about, and they said, we just brought this fantastic guitar player over from New York.
Yeah.
And I said, great, okay. And they said, we want him to front your band. And I said, well, wait a minute. First of all, I don't know what this guy plays like, and I don't know his name, And also, I've started my band with Julie Driscoll fronting my band and Vic Briggs playing guitar. Are you suggesting that I should fire those two people after we've only been together a few months?
Yeah, incredible talents, right.
Substitute this guy that I had never heard of, and I don't know what he plays like, knowing that, I didn't want anything to do with Mike Jeffrey. So that was that. That put the cap on all of it anyway. There was no way I was going to work with him.
Well,
so
I think the world's thankful for your openness to let Jimmy get on that stage, because who knows, he may not have ever kind of gone Yeah, well, actually,
well,
Jimmy's.
I think he would have done, man. And the thing is that he, when we heard him play, I said to them, look, what I can do is if you bring him down to the Cromwellian on Friday, he can sit in with my band, and everyone on the scene is going to be there, and they'll see him. So if he's good and he's, something that I'm sure he'll get offers and when we heard him, we were kind of dumbfounded, like, oh my goodness. Anyway, he became a good friend of mine, man, and he used to follow us around the clubs, and he would sit in if we were at Blazes or the Bag of Nails or one of the Carnaby Street clubs or the Ricky Tick clubs or stuff like that, and until he actually, Julie Driscoll and I, with the Trims, he had a #1 single, Save Me, which is, I think it's a Aretha Franklin tune, in Paris, and we played at their big, the best place there was the Olympia, so like a theater, and so we invited Jimmy to come with his new band, the new trio, and open for us, and he... I stood in the wings, man, and watched him work the audience, and I just realized, man, this guy is incredible, and he's going to be a huge star. Yeah. A year later, I opened for him at the same place.
That's crazy. We've got about, Brian, we got about 25 seconds until the next commercial break. Just finish your thought, and then we're going to kind of kick into it. Oh, it's actually kicking in right now. I wasn't quick enough. Folks, thank you very much for holding on. We are having an amazing talk with Brian Auger. We're going to be getting back into some more stories and his new stuff. We've got a couple more segments, so stay tuned. This is the Changing Stage radio show powered by WS Radio Networks and brought to you by Pitbull Audio at pitbullaudio.com and SR Music Equipment Rentals. We'll be right back.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
On the internet, your business's reputation can be unjustly destroyed in an instant. Don't wait for that to happen. Building and marketing your 5-star reputation can increase your business by as much as 19%. Take control of your reputation and have the 5-star reputation you deserve with Reputation Marketing Solutions by DSI Development. Become the go-to company by visiting 5starrepmarketing.com. The number 5starrepmarketing.com.
Has your business been appified? Are you tired of doing marketing that doesn't deliver results? Mobile apps build loyalty and quality retention. Your app from UPG Mobile puts your business on their mind and at their fingertips. UPG Mobile will give you a custom app highlighting how you are unique, targeting your message, and improving your open rates. Appify your business and amplify your presence with your customers at upgmobilemarketinggroup.com.
You've heard me bragging about Progressive Medical Center and how they've helped me feel so much healthier. But one thing, Dr. Agoli, that a lot of people come to you with is just unexplained pain. They just can't get any relief. Why can Progressive Medical Center's Pain Management Center help them?
First of all, we have to acknowledge that pain is for real, and you've got acute pain and chronic pain. Here's the problem. That acute pain turns to chronic, which is long-standing, and no one's getting to the root cause. There's several key diagnostic components that help us get to the root of what's causing this pain. Is it inflammation? Once we do a thorough evaluation to get to the root cause, determine if it's structural or if it's a metabolic issue. And this way, we put an individualized program for pain management involving correcting the spine, using certain injections when necessary, and we get our patients out of pain quicker, and they stay out of pain because we teach them how to live their life well.
Don't let yourself live in pain any longer. Get a hold of Progressive Medical Center today at progressivemedicalcenter.com.
Progressive Medical, this is your life, live it well.
This is Bill Gruber with BizVid Communications, a Southern California video production leader. We've been honored to sponsor, produce, write, and host many of the fine programs on WS Radio over the years. so we understand how important the internet and your website exposure are. As video producers, we know the tricks and secrets to incorporate video to increase your search engine optimization and business success. Visit bizvidcommunications.com to see what we can do for you. BIZVID communications.com.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
Welcome to the Changing Stage, music gear talk from the manufacturers and musicians who define the biz. Here's your host, Florentino Buenaventura.
One, two, three, four. I just want to scream that out. Brian, hey, how's it going? This is that's awesome. Black Cat, I love that tune, man. That just it gets me every time I hear that. That's awesome stuff. This is the Changing Stage radio show.
We just sent the band out, man. We did one rehearsal and we sent the band out. And they went to the local pub and they came back and they were fairly rowdy. So I had to really kind of shout the count in as loud as I could at the time. They left it on the album.
I need to put that in my intro, brother. That's just so awesome. So this is, again, the Changing Stage radio show. My name is Florentino Buenaventura. We are powered by the mighty WS Radio Networks and, of course, brought to you by SIR and Pitbull Audio. And we're here with Brian, and this man is amazing. He's lived history. He has touched, us in so many different ways. I think your sound kind of influenced the R&B influence from what I've gathered and reading and listening to, historical accounts. And, it was kind of a rabbit hole for me when I was doing the research on you, because I knew, a lot of the things that are going on. I knew the story about Jimmy and stuff like that. But when you start going deep, man, you were hugely impactful on the way the sound is today. You brought R&B and jazz into that rock world. I think that's what I've gathered.
I think it was, the whole idea of the Trinity was, basically what I wanted a rhythm section, like a drummer who could play like Bernard Purdie, if it was possible at the time. Yeah. That was like around about 1967. They were thin on the ground. And then a guy like James Jamerson, who did all the Tamla Motown bass.
One of the greatest, if not the greatest.
Which it was just phenomenally funky. And then I was going to overlay, some of my jazz harmony over, my compositions, just to prove that you could play rock and roll and funk with something other than 3 or 4 chords. And then, Julie was a great addition to the band and sang very soulfully. She was into Nina Simone and Aretha Franklin, and, it just went on and on. And then, we chose things that had a positive message. That was the Trinity. And then when I went on with the Oblivion Express, it was to push the envelope, to try to develop that music even further. And I ran into kind of a wall with Polydor, and, I thought to myself, well, maybe I'm wading against the commercial tide here. But, maybe I'm going
a little ahead of your time, brother.
Yeah. So I called the band the Oblivion Express. It's still going. Amazing.
Yeah. You guys are doing some great stuff. I actually got a question for you from back in that time, because you had mentioned Nina Simone, and she originally did "Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood." And of course, the one everyone knows is with Eric Burden. For some reason I got this inkling that you might have had some influence on that with those guys in recovering that, because it definitely doesn't sound the same.
Well, if you listen to the original, Nina sings this thing. It is so soulful. I was almost in tears when I heard it. And then when I heard what the Animals had done with it, particularly the out-of-tune backing vocals and the tempo they did it at, and they got it to number 1, and she was at about number 30, I realized, well, it's a shame the music business is as it is,
Yeah.
And I think think Nina was rather cross about that. Eric told me that when he first met her, she wasn't she wasn't laughing about that.
Yeah, wasn't appreciative of it. You did a great job. I love the version that you did with Julie Triplets.
Yeah. Julie loved Nina, and we decided we'd do it in that, around about that tempo because it means so much more, man. It's such an expressive and beautiful tune. So there you go,
Yeah.
Yes. There were, what I was saying, there was, the thing about London at the time was that all these bands were, we were always like sitting in and jamming with people, and it was absolute madness going on. I met the Who, man, on a Ready Steady Go program, and Keith Mooney was completely nuts. It was amazing that people were so lenient in those days, and he came down to this little club, and for some reason we just struck it off, it was amazing. And he says to me, "Boy, let me sit in, man," I said, "Mooney, you can't play in here, man. It's a little kind of restaurant, it's too..." He said, "Why not?" I said, "Mooney, you play too loud, man." He says, No, I promise I won't play loud." And I thought, yeah, really. So, he pestered me all night, and in the end I gave in. He says, come on, Brian. He says, "Let me sit in, man. You're one of the only jazzers I can talk to. So how could you deny him?" So I let him sit in. It was absolutely like rolling thunder. You
Pandemonium.
You could see people, eating, and when he hit the bass drum, their food lifted up off the plate. As the concussion kind of came back, the skin came back. It dragged a downdraft from up in the streets, and pieces of newspaper and rodents were kind of sucked into the club. It was absolutely absurd. And then so afterwards, he comes up and says, "Oh, thanks, boy, I really enjoyed that." And I said to him, "Yeah, but Mooney, man, I thought you said you weren't going to play loud." And he looked at me. He's all like kind of really fed up. He said, "What do you mean? I didn't."
Of course, the loudest band on the planet at the time, right? The Who.
I know, man. The craziness was kind of out there all the time, and stuff like that was happening. Guys would wake me up after they knew I'd just driven back from Newcastle, the Club A Go-Go up there, did a gig, and my mates Andy Summers and Zoot Money and the Big Roll Band and all the guys who were hanging out at his place. I get home and I'm absolutely delirious with tiredness, and I get into bed, man, and and in my dream I go into some horrible dream where a phone is ringing. And it rings and rings, and suddenly I kind of wake up, and I can't actually. I'm still so tired. You wake up sometimes, you don't remember even where you are, and you're home. So I went, what the? And I realize it's my phone that's ringing. So I pick the phone up, and I know who he is. It's Zoot Money and Andy, man. And they said, "Brian, is that you?" And I said, "Well, yeah." The message is the treasure is buried at, and the phone is put down. A wonderful wake up, and after I'd only been asleep for about an hour and a half.
That's crazy. And that's Andy Summers from The Police, right?
Yes, of course, yeah. Well, it wasn't at the time, but that name was being bandied about already, and Sting and Andy said, "Yeah, we're thinking of putting this band together called The Police." I thought, whoa, that's a bit strange. But anyway, another one was the Yardbirds gave me a call because they were in the same agency as me. This is the kind of nonsense that would go on, They said, "Brian, what are you doing this afternoon?" And I said, "Well, this afternoon I'm free. Well, could you do a session for us?" I said, "Yeah, sure. Where are you?" And they said, we're in this little studio that's opposite Broadcasting House, in Upper Regent Street. So I said, "Oh, I know where that is." So I get on the tube and I go up there, go in, and Paul Samwell Smith comes up and says, "Right, Brian, we've got this thing. I'm going to play it to you, And then, so he plays the track to me. And I said, well, that's pretty good, man. Yeah. And I look around the studio, and I said, but where's the organ? I said, oh, they don't have an organ here. And then I look further, and this place, God knows what it was doing, you know. Anyway, I looked further, and I said, well, where's the piano, man? They said, oh, no, they don't have a piano. I said, what are you talking about? A studio with no piano and no organ. Well, what am I going to play then, you know? He says, well, that. And that was this kind of shape in the corner covered up, you know, with a tarpaulin, which we snatch off. And it's a double-tier harpsichord. And the track is For Your Love. And he says, look, I just need an intro, and then I want you to really comp and get the rhythm going throughout, you know. So I said, well, I've never played one of these things before, but anyway, whatever. So I decided after messing around with it, I said, look, I could do this rolling kind of arpeggios for the start. Wang, 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 ding, you know. And then after that, when you come in, you know, I'll just comp. He said, yeah, great. So we knocked this thing off in probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours. And I remember walking back down towards the tube at Oxford Circus, thinking to myself, these guys are nuts. Who's going to buy a commercial single with harpsichord on it? And boy, was I wrong. That one went to number one.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad that you know they weren't nuts. They were right on track with that. So we've got about 30 seconds left. Tell us a little bit about the community. Like who were the players that were there with you at that time? Well, I
had Mickey Waller actually on drums in the mid '50s with the steam packet and in the Trinity, a guy called Vic Briggs on guitar, who went to the Animals and New Animals. A guy called Ricky Brown played bass, and he eventually went up to Liverpool and joined the youth orchestra up there.
Hey, Brian, we got that music coming in. Hey, brother, we'll be right back. We're going to be coming back to the fourth segment. Stay tuned. This is amazing stuff. You don't want to miss it. This is the Changing Stage Radio Show.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
On the internet, your business's reputation can be unjustly destroyed in an instant. Don't wait for that to happen. Building and marketing your 5-star reputation can increase your business by as much as 19%. Take control of your reputation and have the 5-star reputation you deserve with Reputation Marketing Solutions by DSI Development. Become the go-to company by visiting 5starrepmarketing.com. The number 5starrepmarketing.com.
I raised $8,000 to build schools for South African children. After realizing how many people go hungry in San Diego, I now volunteer at a food pantry.
I'm spending the next year doing volunteer projects across 3 countries and helping in ways they designate to be the most helpful.
The World Link program at the Joan B. Kroc Institute for Peace and Justice recognizes the potential of youth as agents of social change. Learn how you can help youth become a generation of leaders in action at peace.sandiego.edu.
You've heard me bragging about Progressive Medical Center and how they've helped me feel so much healthier. But one thing, Dr. Agoli, that a lot of people come to you with is just unexplained pain. They just can't get any relief. Why can Progressive Medical Center's Pain Management Center help them?
First of all, we have to acknowledge that pain is for real, and you've got acute pain and chronic pain. Here's the problem. That acute pain turns to chronic, which is long-standing, and no one's getting to the root cause. There's several key diagnostic components that help us get to the root of what's causing this pain. Is it inflammation? Once we do a thorough evaluation to get to the root cause, determine if it's structural or if it's a metabolic issue. And this way, we put an individualized program for pain management involving correcting the spine, using certain injections when necessary, and we get our patients out of pain quicker, and they stay out of pain because we teach them how to live their life well.
Don't let yourself live in pain any longer. Get a hold of Progressive Medical Center today at progressivemedicalcenter.com.
Progressive Medical, this is your life, live it well.
Which sandwich is healthy and tasty? Which sandwich can come on bread or in a bowl? Which sandwich comes 51 different ways, so it's always your way. A which sandwich. Stop into our shop in Hazard Center. We're upstairs from the Hazard Center Digiplex. Bring in your movie ticket. We will add a free drink and chips to your sandwich order. Or order online at whichwich.com, and we will have it ready and waiting. WHICH, WICH. Whichwich.com.
Welcome to the Changing Stage, music gear talk from the manufacturers and musicians who define the biz. Here's your host, Florentino Buenaventura.
It's the fourth segment of the Changing Stage radio show powered by the mighty WS Radio Networks and brought to you by Pitbull Audio at pitbullaudio.com and SIR Music Equipment Rental. Also, we want to remind you folks to follow us on Twitter at changing_stage.com or changing_. Oh, heck. Just follow us on Twitter.
You started out so strongly with spelling in the first segment, and I don't know, all those Keith Moon stories must have scrambled your brain.
I think it did. Brian, are you there, sir?
I'm still here, man. Yeah.
See, you got me all. You got me as giddy as a schoolgirl, man. These stories are just. We're all just just on the edge of our seats over here, brother. So you've had this great career. I kind of want to jump up to some of the new stuff that you're doing because you've made an album every year, it seems like, since 1965. And there's been a couple of years you didn't, but it's like you put out multiple albums in the years before, so it's like it made up for that. It's so prolific.
Yes, I always tell my, when we're doing concerts around the world, I always speak to the audience and say, yes, this next song, we recorded it just after Julius Caesar invaded the British Isles. And we were recording on clay tablets. And, it seems like that, man. I've been incredibly lucky to have held on to my masters, and that's kind of kept everything going. And I have never bothered too much about what is in the hit parade and what's selling. Although I keep my eye on that, but I've been able to. I've been one of the most privileged people to be able to, play with the people that I love to play with, play the music I want to play, and move around the world. And I've done, I even have members of my family in the band. And my son, Karma, is just a jewel. He is the guy that makes the Oblivion Express run. Without him, I don't know what would be going on. He's a great... he's become a great producer, and he's become a great engineer, as well as a phenomenal drummer. Yeah. And when I first started the Oblivion Express, Karma, I've got pictures of Karma sitting on Robbie McIntosh's knee. Robbie McIntosh went from my band to Average White Band.
Yeah.
And then on Steve Ferrone's knee, and Steve is another phenomenal player. Also went to the Average White Band, but went to all sorts of other people and played with everybody. He's a phenomenal drummer. And we had Alex Lidgetwood. Alex came into the band and was with me for about 7 years. And then I came off the road because I was exhausted, took a year off, and Alex was snapped up by Santana. And was with him, was Santana for maybe, he's just absolutely, I think he's one of the best singers on the planet. But he's just come back into the band, so we're having a great time. You
got a new project that you're working on right now, right?
I beg your pardon?
You're currently working on a project with him right now to kind of put out a new record.
Well, yes, we found a label run in London, actually, Freestyle Records. Freestyle is run by a guy called Greg Borman and Danny Ryan. They are in the niche that understands my music and has people that play organs and that play funk, and we seem to fit right in with their with their eye view of everything, and they've done more for me. And with the albums haven't come out yet, but there are 2 scheduled for this year. One is a compilation called Back at the Beginning, and it goes from my piano playing days, a couple of tracks, which are and right the way through till now. And the other one is a live in Los Angeles that we cut a year ago, and that one is going to be put out after the compilation comes out, probably for our club tour in Europe for October, where we will be covering about 6 European countries and then going to the UK. So things are busy, and I'm still having a great time. I always love to play to people. I suppose I could hang out in the studios and play a load of strange stuff and get paid incredible money for it, but that's never really been something that that I would like to do. I do sessions for different people, but it's always people that I know and I admire, and that's always a great pleasure.
Yeah.
So that's basically where it sits at the moment.
Yeah. And your daughters are singing, right?
Well, my daughters are not in the band now because my youngest daughter, Savannah, just had her first son. So I've got a little grandson. Karma, my son, has 2, so I've got 3 grandsons. They are my jewels. They are phenomenal.
They're going to keep the legacy going.
I have a lot of fun with them. I have been incredibly happy, and I've been married now for coming up for about 46 years to the same lady, and she is from the beautiful island of Sardinia. Sardinia is basically Italy.
Well, congratulations on that. That's not typical rock and roll story right there. Usually.
Oh, I don't think it is actually. No, but from what I see, but young people, man, when they come into the business, there are, if they do make a mark for themselves, they are under the most insane pressure. And I think you've seen some of them crack up completely, and I understand that pressure. I've never bothered too much about that. We had enough of it with the Trinity and Julie in particular, but for about 6 months it's kind of, wow, this is all amazing, and then after a while you realize you can't go out and have a meal or without all sorts of stuff happening, and your freedom is inhibited. And some people kind of react to that, and they don't like it, and if they can't get out of it, they can end up kind of having a breakdown and stuff like that. I've seen it happen, but thank goodness, I've never kind of suffered from any of that.
It seems like you've been steady.
I just had a fantastic experience of being a musician.
We've got about a minute left. We have a lot of young listeners that are just getting into the business. You've got this wealth of history of being there, the start of rock and roll, pretty much. What would be your advice to the players now with this crazy dynamic of the internet? You can't just go to a label and get released, as easily. Well, it was never easy, but there's no straight way to make it. What's your advice to the listeners just getting started?
Well, I think first of all, if you're making music, the big rule is play what is in your heart, follow your heart, and stick to that. And that may lead you into strange paths, but at least you'll know why you're in it and what is coming at you. The other thing is take your career into your own hands. There is an internet and all the social media, and you should use that. If you're going to play a gig, then let everybody know that you can, that's what you're going to do. And use all the social media to advertise yourself. And don't wait for the record companies to do that. And you don't have to have a record company to get going. You can wait around for it, but you could wait around forever. The best thing is to take your life into your own hands and give it everything you got, and use the social media, which is there to help you. We use it, and...
Hey, Brian. Hey, brother. I hate to cut you short, man. It's the Changing Stage radio show. This is never enough time, especially with a man like Brian Auger. You've been a gentleman. Thank you very much. Stay tuned next week. We've got another big show coming up.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Progressive Medical.
Hey, this is Heidi Rue, and Progressive Medical Center has literally changed my life and my health, but I'm not the only one. Adele suffered from bone deterioration, bone overgrowth, profound muscle discomfort, physical exhaustion, and mental fog. In fact, the bone deterioration becomes so serious that she had to have back surgery. Well, after the surgery, she still didn't feel well, and so that's when she heard about Progressive Medical Center. Progressive Medical Center discovered that her adrenals weren't working properly, her hormones were out of whack, and the drugs she had been taking were doing more harm than good. Adele came into Progressive Medical Center in a walker, physically and mentally exhausted. But now she's a world traveler. She hikes and walks several miles a day, and it's all thanks to Progressive Medical Center. 770-676-6000. 770-676-6000.
Progressive Medical. This is your life. Live it well.
Take a break from politics. Tune in and learn something. WS Radio shows are worth your time and are filled with tips and advice. Add us to your lunch routine, and we'll give you a meal for your mind.
Do you want to be a professional coach? Are you in business trying to make a real difference with people you manage or work with? Have you started a coaching practice that isn't quite getting off the ground? Get the skills you need to be a successful coach today with the Coaches Training Program from Accomplishment Coaching. The Coaches Training Program will show you how to help others focus and be more fulfilled. Whether you want to improve your company's bottom line or create a thriving coaching practice, Accomplishment Coaching can give you the distinctions and practices you need to coach others effectively today. Accomplishment Coaching has spent 6 years developing a cutting-edge coaches training program that will have you ready to coach people professionally in just 12 months, and you don't have to take time off work to do it. To find out more about the Coaches Training Program, just call 1-888-548-6813. That's 1-888-548-6813.
Hi, this is Rob Barnett, VinVillage.com, where wine lovers connect. Be sure to tune in weekly to Vin Village Radio for exclusive, in-depth interviews with the who's who in wine and food.